Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Now, for many years we have been talking about the whole process of the narrative around aging needing to be changed. That there's a narrative around aging that was perhaps more relevant or true 25, 30 years ago, but now we're changing. The world is changing and we are growing with it. And I think the narrative that we've held with us in our hearts, maybe that we were taught by our moms and family, is just no longer relevant for me and maybe for you too. Now, 60 and Me, I started 12 years ago, and it was kind of a pushback on that narrative. That I had been working in a very young company, a company that favored youth, and not, even though they appreciated the experience of aging, they didn't really value it. It wasn't a currency. So I was really, like many of you, encouraged to kind of not talk about my age and talk about getting older. And seeing the aging narrative, the story being one of decline, that something was being taken away, rather than something that was growing and that it was changing in a positive way. And so the life story that we have been told is, in my opinion, right or wrong, it's just not necessary anymore, because there is so much that we can do now in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and older that we maybe didn't even consider. You could say, people might say it's a loss of beauty, it's a loss of energy, it's a loss of health, it's a loss of security and relevance. But in my opinion, it's not so much a loss of those things, but it's a deepening of those things. And that's the kind of conversation I would love to have today with you, because I think when we start to look at our aging bodies, we look at the wrinkles, we look at, we look at how we're changing, how we're not maybe as energetic as we were, how we've got some boundaries around our physical activities. But, I think it's more, in my opinion, a kind of a deepening in each of those categories. So let's take beauty, for example. I mean, yes, we don't look the same. I look in the mirror just like you do sometimes and think, oh my gosh, what happened? Because, it isn't the person in my heart that I feel sometimes, but that deepening of my understanding of beauty. It's really special. I think it's really magical. And it goes to talking about the wisdom and experience in a very, not abstract way, but in a very specific way that gives us an attractiveness. It gives us something that's interesting to look at and to discuss. I mean, yes, we can talk about, the laugh lines being the kind of the lines that were, stories of our adventures and our laughter and all the joy and sadness that we have felt in our lives that has given us this kind of unique, 60-year-old plus grace and intelligence and presence. But it can also be considered, that it's actually beautiful in its own way. I mean, what is wrong with the aging face or the aging body? It's all because we've decided, somewhere down the line that beauty was going to be considered, perfect skin and flawless complexion and perfect body. And, why is there a need to say that we're falling apart? When actually we're just piecing it together. And if anything, we're becoming more, solidified in our identity. And that is beautiful. I mean, that is kind of the purpose of this whole thing, isn't it? I mean, to sort of over our life to get, stronger and deeper and more, appreciative of what we have got. I mean, I consider, like many people I've heard saying recently, that it's a privilege to be an older woman. It's a privilege to have made some good decisions, hopefully with our health, and good decisions with, places that we've led ourselves, jobs, people, relationships. And also, of course, there is this element of, I don't actually believe in luck. I don't believe in good luck. I'll tell you a story about that in a second, but I believe in good choices. And also we do have genetic tendencies. I mean, some people do have a tendency for certain things that other people don't have to deal with. I mean, yesterday it was so funny. I was sitting with my little grandson, Marvel, and it was very hot. It's very, very hot today, in fact, but we were sitting there, and my least amount of clothing I could comfortably wear with my little grandson. And he looked at my legs and he said, "Baba, what's that bruise on your leg?" And I looked and I said, "No, those aren't bruises, Marvel. Those are my legs. Those are, I've walked around the world probably 5 times in my life, like a lot of walking. And your legs get a little tired sometimes, and those little blood vessels inside of them, they go pop, oh, enough. And I'm just trying to make it funny, but it was he was like, oh, and he said, does that happen when you get older? I said, well, can do, because your body is just a little, well, not machine, but a little engine that keeps going, and sometimes you have to get repairs to it, and sometimes I was trying to help. But the thing was, he clearly didn't think that those bruises were really pretty. They were like, oh. But we talked about it, and it was good to educate. So, as I mentioned, in terms of not declining, I think we're deepening, and we're getting to the beauty aspect that's, hidden. Maybe no one else sees it. Maybe like Jack, or not Jack, like my other grandson, like Marvel, that they don't, see it. But anyway, deepening of beauty, deepening of energy. Okay, so I can't go skydiving. Well, that's not true. I could. It would probably take me a little while to recover, a little while to get the courage, because it's more of a courage thing. It's more of a deepening of an understanding that I don't really particularly want to go skydiving or into that anymore. I'm kind of happy with the boundaries I've created. So we become deeper in our understanding of all the different aspects of aging. We become deeper, clearer, and more honest, and more honest with ourselves. Because we're not going to be the same, bouncy, pretty, cutesy little person that you were when you were 20 or 18 or whatever. I mean, I looked at a picture the other day of me in a bathing suit, and I thought, oh my gosh, I had a waist. What is that? Honestly. So we start asking different questions. Not how do I look, but how do I feel? How do I see? How do I see myself? How do I see the world? And I think that's for me, it's a better narrative about aging, and to not say that you're getting older or less attractive or less beautiful or less energy. You're becoming more you. I know this sounds abstract, and I don't mean it to, because I think stripping away the things that we have been carrying on our backs, the words, the descriptions of who we are have held us back from just saying, okay, I don't do that now, I do this. This is what matters, and this is what really doesn't matter anymore. So that deepening rather than declining, I think, is a really positive way to say, well, come on out, those things that are, that are not visible to the average person, maybe, that your creativity, your insights, your knowledge, all these things, and they don't have to be, incredibly world shattering or earth shattering. They can actually be just, I get it now. And when I draw I draw little pictures on my paper cups, they're not art. I wouldn't call that art. I would just call it me liking to put color on white paper and black paper, different shades of color, and see what can come out of my little heart, that can come out of my older self. We lose some things, yeah. We lose we lose the capabilities, I guess, that we had when we were younger to do more physical things, or more, get into it. Well, I was going to say starting new businesses, but even that kind of thing is just totally irrelevant, because I'm going to do another article about this in a minute, about women that sort of really took a stand after 60 and started fresh on brand new things. So I think that's that whole dialogue of not looking back, not looking into what was. It's that rising sun mentality again. It's like the sun's setting on certain areas. Great. I can embrace that. But it's rising on other things into kind of softness, kind of an understanding and a depth of acceptance, and moving us into areas that we can do without, we're constantly reminding ourselves that we might be declining in beauty, declining in flexibility, declining in whatever. It's not that, it's deepening. I think if we look at it that way, whole different approach. So are you looking at things from behind and seeing how things have been, how you want to continue them, or are you ready to let go a bit? Are you ready to change the narrative? That's the thing. It's like other people, they've got their narrative about aging. That's coming from a younger person's perspective. But what's our narrative? What's our story? Okay, everybody. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this chat. Please like the video if you thought it was useful. Share it with friends. I want you to know about our Patreon group, which is really, really cool. I'm going to do a separate video on this because we've got some new things I'm offering you. If you are interested, an ad-free experience on the website. A lot of people have been really concerned about this, and I've got some information on that I'm going to share. But basically, if you join our Patreon supporters group at the $10 a month level, now that's a little bit more than you've been contributing in the past. It supports 60andMe. It's our income. Then you join at that level, $10, and you will automatically be able to view the website. Well, automatically with a couple of steps, be able to view the website, no ads. So you can read those articles without ads popping up, videos popping up, and hopefully you'll find that interesting. I will do a separate video on this though here on all the channels because I think it's a kind of cool thing and it's a technology that we were able to navigate and offer to you. So, and also you get then 24/7 coverage or 24/7 connection on the Patreon supporters group, which has already got lots of wonderful women in there chatting all the time, not just when we do our live shows and other activities. Okay, I've rambled on a bit, but keep the narrative going in a positive way and let me know what you think about what we've been chatting about here. I'd love to know. Okay, everyone, take really good care. Bye-bye for now.